Pleasure is mine. The pleasure is indeed mine. Rethinking wealth management. Mr. Mitchell is a seasoned and experienced executive with a successful career spanning over 25 years in the financial industry, 20 of which have been at the management, senior management, and executive levels, with tenures at top local institutions as well as affiliates, subsidiaries of regional and international financial conglomerates. It's a mouthful, big bang. He has a proven record in designing and executing long-term sustainable strategic priorities, change management, divestitures, mergers, acquisitions, and the share ownership privatization. Mr. Mitchell boasts an impressive resume, with his most recent role being Senior Vice President, Wealth Management, Scotia Group Jamaica Limited, and the Chief Executive Officer of Scotia Investments Jamaica Limited. A position he held for 7 years up to March of this year. Having joined the Scotia Group in 2007, he has, over the period of his tenure, also held the positions of Senior Vice President, Treasury and Capital Markets, and Chief Operating Officer of Scotia Investments. Lissant is preferred way to be called, has also had a very successful career spanning 9 years with the Sagicor Group through its subsidiary Sagicor Investments, including Northwell Capital, which was acquired. He moved through the ranks from manager for its primary dealer unit to Vice President, Treasury. Prior to joining Sagicor, Lissant was senior trader, fixed income at Jamaica Money Market Brokers in the mid-1990s. Listed among some of his achievements are: he was a responsible officer for assets under administration, valued at US $2.6 billion, Jamaica equivalent, across institutional, pension, and individual investors profile within Scotia Group Wealth Management divisions. And the list goes on. I'll just read two more of the many I see here skipping. He played the lead role in the share transfer of Scotia Group Jamaica and Scotia Bank Trinidad and Tobago between BNS Canada and Scotia Caribbean Holding Limited, valued at over $54.8 billion Jamaican dollars and TT $5.5 billion respectively. He led the divestment of the Government of Jamaica controlled Jamaica Pegasus Hotels Limited in partnership with the Development Bank of Jamaica and the government appointed enterprise team. Lissant has also held directorship in several entities, including the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Scotia Investments Jamaica Limited, Scotia Investments Trinidad and Tobago Limited, Scotia Asset Management St. Lucia, Inc., as well as some 9 mutual funds domiciled and distributed across the Caribbean. He holds a master's degree in business administration from the University of Manchester, that is in UK, a bachelor's of science honors degree in accounting with econ from UA, University Jamaica, a very proud Wolmerian. You would have responded that way. And a former Monaco goalkeeper, yes. You play football for Wolmers? He played football, he was a goalkeeper. Lissant still insists that he could have been the keeper for the Reggae Boys in France, 1998. If he had not chosen a different career path, yeah, right. The jury is still out on that. He nonetheless maintains his passion for the sport, as seen in his continuous attempt to relive his glory days while at Wolmers. He is also very committed to an active lifestyle and hits the gym at 5 a.m. at least 4 times a week with him. Lissant is married to Kean, and while he may or may not look it, he has a 22-year-old son, Matthew, another proud Wolmerian. People, help me welcome my friend, my very special and close friend, Lissant Mitchell.
Perfect. Afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thanks, I won't call him Winston because he's a good friend of mine. We've known each other for probably over 30 years. So thanks for inviting me and thanks for having me. I'm happy to participate and contribute in any way I can to the students here moving on at some point to a successful career. What I want to talk about today, which is not really spoken about in academia a lot when persons are in the business field, is the whole issue of ethics in the field of finance. We hear on a continuous basis the whole issue around integrity or lack thereof of integrity in our society. But finance is particularly important, and therefore ethics is particularly important when we speak about finance. So there's some simple definition. The definition of ethics: moral principle that governs a person's behavior or conducting of an activity. And the importance of ethics: primarily it is the individual, the consumer, the employee, or the human social unit of a society who benefits from ethics. In addition, ethics is important because of the following: satisfying a basic human need, being fair, honest, and ethical is one of the needs that pretty much all human beings have. And the purpose of ethics is really to define acceptable behavior in conducting any form of activity whatsoever. Now, in terms of the field of finance, without fear of contradiction, we can't overemphasize how critical it is, because finance, in particular, people who practice finance, whether it is core accounting, investment management, and other financial services, what is important is what we call a fiduciary responsibility of trust. Trust is extremely important. When you're managing persons' finance or financial firms or accounting, the level of trust is extremely important, and therefore the way in which we conduct ourselves, the way in which we operate, the way in which we guard person's financial life depends on the level of trust and a certain level of ethics. Now, there are some notable examples of breaches of ethics and trust over the years. A couple of them I'll highlight. One is Charles Ponzi. I'm sure everybody heard about this Ponzi scheme. And the genesis of it comes from Charles Ponzi back in the early 1900s. He had identified a way in which to acquire. At the time, it was what he called it was stamps, postage stamps, right? And you acquire it in one country, you can bring it to another country, right, and sell it for a higher price, depending on what we call an arbitrage opportunity. So he had devised a scheme where he would buy these coupons in one country, bring it to the US, and try to sell it at a higher price. But things didn't work out. So over time, he kept taking somebody's money to pay back somebody. So it ended up becoming what he called a Ponzi scheme. So that's the definition. That's where it came, where it comes from. They did have heard about Bernard Madoff. Yeah. Madoff, that's a huge one. A scheme that went down of over $64 billion US dollars, and it is felt that the scheme really actually started as far back as in the 80s. And one which is closer home, you have heard about Olin. You have heard about Olin and David Smith. And interestingly, right, David Smith is actually, or was, a colleague of mine, a friend of mine. We went to school together, we played Money Cup together, we actually worked together. And it just shows you the relevance or the connection that no matter how you think about it, any and everybody can have issues around breaches of ethics if you are not sound, if you don't have a determined mind and understand these issues. Finance and investment professionals, they are held to a higher standard of care. Maintain a position, as I indicated before, of trust. A fiduciary responsibility to your clients. Hold a doctrine of fairness and impartiality. and promotes what we define as the integrity of the financial system, financial markets and capital markets. There are two main I'm going to focus on two. There are a number of others because you have ethics in whether it is in accounting profession, internal audit profession, and others, but I'm going to focus on two. One is what's called a CFA, a Certified Financial Analyst, and those who want to move on and drill down deeper in financing and financial analysts can do this course. That course is actually a certification. Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, and then we have one around Certified Financial Planners. So I'm just going to briefly run through some of the basic tenets that deals with ethics. Under the CFA code, principle act with integrity, competence, and diligence. Place integrity of the profession and the interests of clients above your own. Exercise reasonable care and professional judgment. Demonstrate ethical practice and professionalism. Promote the markets, capital markets in integrity. And maintain and yet consistently improve your financial competencies. Professionalism. Knowledge of the law is important. Wherever you operate, there are guidelines, regulations, and requirements. In Jamaica, it's the Bank of Jamaica, the Financial Services Commission, and the Securities Act, and the Bank of Jamaica. It's important for you to have a good appreciation of the law that governs the environment. Independence and objectivity. You want to make sure that when you are analyzing, making a recommendation, your ideas are independent and objective in making those recommendations. Misrepresentation, simply put, do not lie. Important, it's simple, but it's very important. And misconduct, no dishonesty in your conduct. Again, integrity of the market is important for us to guard the integrity of the market because the market is so significant and it is built on the foundation of trust. That if there is lack of integrity, lack of confidence, lack of trust in the market, then remember the financial system, generally speaking, the monetary system is based on trust. I give you a paper note. You have to trust that paper note actually has value. And the financial system is built on that element. And market manipulation. Do not attempt, do not try to manipulate the market in general. Persons can do things to, for example, what they call pump and dump. They may end up trying to pump up a stock and then sell it to somebody who is pretty much unaware, right? Or use inside information to take advantage of opportunities. Duties to clients. Must always remember that as a professional, your duty is to your client. Act to the benefit of your client, exercise prudent judgment, fair dealing. Ensure that you don't give, sounds interesting, preferential treatment to friends and family and persons who are close to, over and above what you give to your clients. Suitability. When you're providing financial advice or investment advice, you want to make sure as best as possible that the advice is suitable for the client, that each client has a particular need. And if I could draw an analogy to, you go to the doctor. You go to the doctor and he goes through your assessment and he prescribes something that is suitable for you, or suitable for the particular situation, or suitable for the particular ailment. If it is not, then it can have dire consequences. So similarly in finance, you want to have a duty where you recommend products and services that are suitable for clients. And performance, presentation, always being able to show fair and how the investment or the things perform. And confidentiality. Maintain the strictest confidentiality for your clients. Duties to your employers, loyalty, act to the benefit of your employers versus firstly yourself. In other words, when you create a financial model, it is really for your employers. If you're working for an employer, it's for them. Provide your best talent. Give it everything. Do not steal client information. The client information is for the client through the organization. Additional compensation, if you are being compensated by the organization to provide a financial service to their clients, do not try and get compensation otherwise using that information that you have related to that particular client. And obviously have to have a certain responsibility. The recommendation, the investment analysis that you provide, they need to be reasonable, fair, and do the appropriate due diligence. You must have a reasonable basis for your recommendation. You can't just get up and say, well, I feel that this investment is a good investment. And I ask, why? I just feel so, right? Because I think it is okay. What is the substantive basis for your recommendation or your analysis? It's important. Communication with your clients. You want to disclose in a structured way with your clients the information. Put it in a way that they can understand. Use simple language. Show them simple things that they can understand and appreciate. And of course, you want to ensure that records are kept and kept at the appropriate time. Importantly, conflict of interest. What do you define as conflict of interest? Conflict of interest is a situation where there's two, I'm going to use the word conflict, but two conflicting situations or decisions, right? One is based on the client and one will be based on something else. Now, in a lot of things that we do here, there's actually conflict. But the important thing is to identify those conflicts, where those conflicts are such that you have to avoid them totally. Avoid them, but in some instances, conflicts can't be avoided, but it is important that they be disclosed. So you disclose to the person, listen, I have a conflict here. So in some situations, financial firms may put on their statement, for example, they are making a recommendation to buy a particular portfolio, buy a particular stock. They'll put on their statement that from time to time, this firm will take positions in those investments and they want to make it known upfront. Moving on to the CFP, Chartered Financial Planner. Again, the tenets are similar: integrity, objectivity, competence, fairness, confidentiality, professionalism, and diligence. Integrity. Provide professional services with integrity. Integrity demands honesty, conduct which must not be subordinated to personal gains. In other words, you don't put your personal gains above providing things of integrity. Huge. Allowance can be made obviously for innocent oversight or error or legitimate differences of opinion. My opinion on something may very be different from your opinion, but you must always outline what's facts from opinion. My opinion is that the economy may do this. Somebody's opinion may be the economy may do that, but always outline the difference between the economy actually grew by 1.8% versus I think the economy grew by 1.8%. Right? So you have to be a little bit more deliberate. Objectivity, similar to CFA, you have to be very objective in your recommendation, in your decisioning, or the conversations that you have. Competence. Again, it is important that we don't take it lightly around how do we enhance our competence in the field. And if in fact that you're giving advice, but you're not, because we're not perfect and we don't know everything, it is your responsibility as well, possibly to outsource certain things that you're not familiar with. The type of advice, if you're doing a project and you're giving advice on financial modeling, but you really don't know much about the real estate industry, you know the one thing kind of connects with the real estate industry, the appropriate thing to do is to declare and outsource the elements to someone else that has a greater level of competence in that particular field. Fairness, again, you have to be fair. Fair with the advice that you provide. You want to make sure that when you're providing advice, you want to treat each person in the same way, irrespective of the amount of investable funds that they may have. Confidentiality, I spoke about that already in the CFA guide. Similar concept. Professionalism. Always act with the highest level of professionalism and do care when you're giving financial advice. And diligence. Provide professional service in a very diligent way. So in conclusion, be honest in your dealings. No cheating. Be truthful, be fair, be transparent, and maintain the highest level of integrity. Now, the reason why I decided I wanted to speak about that in the context of this particular seminar. A typical seminar will obviously focus on preparing rightfully persons to enter the world of work, or enhance themselves in the world of work, or whether they're being an entrepreneur or wherever it is. But I don't think we spend enough time dealing with what we consider the cornerstone, the substantive cornerstone, where finance and business is concerned. It is a profession that depends on a significant and very high level of trust. It's a profession that deals with a high level of integrity. Whenever those things disappear from the profession, it breaks down the profession. In addition, individuals who practice the profession become liable. Right? We have the Securities Act, and we have the Bank of Jamaica Act, and while it may not be stringent in Jamaica, the reality is there are penalties. And in addition to that, reputation is also important, because as a financial professional, whether it's in the core field of accounting or in financial services specifically, if it is that you end up having a bad reputation where that is concerned, obviously it is going to impact on your ability to get new business. If you're working for a firm, right, and the firm lacks the reputation of being honest, trustworthy, have a high level of integrity, that will also impact the ability of the firm to sustain itself. And if one employee that is placed in the position of trust deviates or breaks away from that responsibility, it can impact the entire organization and by extension the entire industry. So I don't know if I spend too much time, but fundamentally what is important is ethics. And if you take away anything from this discussion here today, I want you to take away the critical nature of ethics in finance and in your own personal conduct. We have time for questions. All right, so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mitchell. Very informative. But in listening to you, I'm thinking to myself that the President of the United States is such an unethical character. What I was trying to wrap my head around, based on my experience, I think when you have a lot of money, ethics goes through the window.
Well, there always there's this term I keep hearing, the love of money is the root of all evil. It didn't say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money. But maybe it's the too much love of money and what you do with it. But I digress a little bit. I personally believe that it is important, and we're in the field of finance to generate wealth for people, right? And that's a mandate, that's a responsibility that we have. But the very foundation of the society is built on trust and ethics and integrity. If that breaks down, it impacts the wider society. And I think too often we experience issues of lack of integrity, lack of ethics, and it undermines confidence in the system. And I think it is incumbent on us in the profession to continue to focus on building that high level of ethics.
But will you get rid of persons within the community who are unethical?
Well, there are direct penalties, right? And there's the reputational issue that if it is proven that they're unethical. I mean, over time you're not going to give them business. But it's a part of a wider society, right? It's a part of a societal issue where we, on a consistent basis, we have people who we see deviate from the normal expected behavior. So I think for me to focus on ethics in this discussion is where we can control it, right? Is around information and education, and hopefully
And you rely on the integrity of
the integrity of the individual.
Because you find out that sometimes some unethical behaviors are not really illegal.
Correct.
So there's no way you can catch them.
And that's why you have standards, right? And I use two, for example, the CFA and the CFP. So the design standards and expected behaviors. Because persons, their areas may be defined as gray, right? And as a result, establish standards. And similarly, the accounting profession, in the medical field, they establish certain standards or behavioral expectations to provide a strong guide around how people are expected to behave and perform their functions.
All right, so there's any more questions? No? Comments? All right, well.
I would like to say thank you from all of us for this information, which will be very useful in our future and